Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Windward Buddhist Temple. It's a special service, Bodhi Day Service this morning. We will begin. My name is Gerald Matsuda, and I will be your MC. So we will begin with the ringing of the temple bell, or kansho, that signifies the beginning of a temple service. It is a deep and sacred ritual steeped in ancient tradition. It is the calling of the people to come together to listen to the Dharma, or teachings. The temple bell represents the gratitude and deep appreciation of the members, friends, and guests of Windward Buddhist Temple. So please sit quietly in your seats. We'll now have offering of flowers and lights by our children. Please rise for our meditation, followed by the chanting of the Vandana Ti-Sarana by the congregation in Pali and English. And this could be found in the red Jodo Shinshu service book, and it is found on page 7 in the red Jodo Shinshu service book.
Sama Sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Amida Buddhas, Namo Amida Buddhas, Namo Amida Buddhas, Namo Amida Buddhas.
Please continue to stand. I'm sorry. Yeah. Please continue to stand for the recitation of loving kindness metta. And this is found in the WBT Supplemental Service book, this guy, on page 32. May all beings be happy
and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May I be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to me. May I live in peace and harmony. May my family be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my teachers be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my friends be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May strangers be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my enemies be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May all beings be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida. Namo Amida.
Please be seated. We'll have a Sanbutsuge by Reverend Barbara Brennan, followed by a Bodhi Day Aspiration.
That leads to enlightenment be shared equally with all beings. May we together awaken the Bodhi mind and be born in the realm of peace and sincerity. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo.
Please turn to the Jodo Shinshu service book again. For the Sutra Sanbutsuge. This is found on page 46.
Jimyo, Komyo Kusep Joy Kai Ni Shojin Nyose Samai Chi E No Ose Bugyo Chigai Isai Kuku Isadayan Keshi Ubu Yakusen Nokuman Muryo Daisho Shunyo Kuyo Isai Shito Shobu Kuyo Gudo Kensho Kuya Inyo Goja Shobu Sekai Ukukake Ushu Setsuno Oshisho Enshishoko Nose Shojin Ijinayo Yoga Sabu Kokudo Nai Oshukimyo Dojo Chosen Kokunyo Nairo Limu Koso Gato Aimi Donatsuisai Chimboraisho Shinetsu Shoujo Itogako Eraku Anno Kobutsu Shinyo Zega Shinsho Otsuga no Ri Rikisho Shoyo Jiko Seson Chiemuge Joryo Shison Chiga Shinryo Keryo Shinshi Shoru Kagyo Shojin Ninjuke Namandabu Shin, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.
Please rise for the Gatha of the Bodhi Day, and this is found in the Brown Praises of the Buddha book, and this can be found on page number 20.
Rejoice, ye people, sing the Buddha.
Today's Dharma speaker is Reverend David Nakamoto, who was our minister for 7 years between 2010 and 2017. Just seems like only yesterday. Reverend Barbara will give you formal introductions.
We welcome you, David. It's really nice to have you here. David is a graduate of Iolani School, and Bert would be really happy about that, by the way. And he received his social work degree at the University of Hawaii. He also helped at his family business, Beretania Florist, and he was with the Queen Liliuokalani Children's Center after 35 years of service when he retired. Reverend Nakamoto decided to become a Jodo Shinshu minister in 2003, and he received his tokudo at that time, after that time. Through the years, he served Kapolei Buddhist Sangha, Waipahu Hongwanji, Wahiawa Hongwanji, and of course here. His wife Irene also received tokudo. She's with us today in case you didn't have a chance to say hello to her. They both do a Dharma discussion group at 15 Craigside, where he is on the advisory board. We welcome you and thank you for being here today.
Can we put our hands together in kansho for our aspiration, please? To learn the Buddha way is to learn about oneself. To learn about oneself is to forget oneself. To forget oneself is to be confirmed by all dharmas. Namo Amitabha. So aloha kako. Aloha to all of you. Yeah, it's nice to see all smiling faces. Yeah, you know, this temple was my old stomping grounds, as they said, and I really, you know, it's so nice to see the temple so beautiful and almost like brand new after all these years. And I went to an Taikyo service, which is a service for the Sangha. Sangha are the people who dedicated themselves to preserving the temple so that others can hear the Dharma. And so this has happened. You know, you guys have worked hard at taking care of this temple, and you make it possible for those in the future to hear the teachings. So thank you. Okay, today thank you for inviting me here to your Bodhi Day service. Bodhi Day is an important remembrance for all Buddhists, and it's honored on December the 8th of the calendar year, and is known as a time to celebrate the enlightenment of Shakyamuni Buddha, and reflects the experience of Shakyamuni sitting under the Bodhi tree and being awakened to the truth of the Dharma. A traditional date of 528 can be used as the time of his awakening, and that is a very, very long time ago. But this experience of his awakening is still very significant today. It impacts us as we apply the teachings to our own lives right here and right now. So many of us are familiar with the past experience of Siddhartha, as you've probably heard the story many, many times, but please bear with me as I go over his remarkable experience, which may take a while to do, but hopefully it can shed some light onto how it relates to our understanding of the Dharma. So here we go. We know that Siddhartha grew up as a prince in a royal family, having the background of great education, social cultural skills, and the luxury of royal living. His father, however, in trying to make sure that Siddhartha grew up as a strong worldly king, the father sheltered him from the experience of any kind of difficulty. So Siddhartha, however, he was a young man who was an intelligent man, but he wanted to see what the world was outside. And he was curious, and he wanted to know what was different out there. And Siddhartha was said to have gone out of the castle and saw an old man, a sick man, and a corpse. And he was deeply depressed by these sights, with his realization that the suffering of old age, sickness, and death was inevitable. And he being sheltered from difficulty in his life, this was the most shocking realization. Yeah. Outside the palace, he also saw a seeker or a renunciant who was searching for his own way to find the truth. So Siddhartha's decision to leave the palace was based on his seeking the solution to the suffering of aging, illness, and death, and becoming a renunciant or seeker himself. So Siddhartha's encounter with impermanence and seeing the seeker was a crucial step in inspiring his desire to seek the ultimate truth. So this developed into Siddhartha's aspiration to seek Buddhahood. So after leaving the palace, Siddhartha spent 6 years learning and mastering the teachings and practices of the seekers he met. And one of his last practices involved trying to find enlightenment through extreme asceticism or severe disciplinary practices. And he ate little amounts of food, but then he came to realize that he had been practicing asceticism for 6 years and that had not found the ultimate answer. So in fact, he realized that if he continued to without a nourishment, he would just die without accomplishing anything. So he realized that strict practices were just another form of self-attachment. And so he gave that up. So Siddhartha realized that neither the self-gratification or the palace life he once lived, nor extreme practices he was doing were constructive at all. So from this realization, it is said that he discovered the middle way. Yeah? This was not enlightenment per se, but a crucial part of the enlightenment that avoids extremes and therefore makes it more possible to reach. So historically speaking, we know that Siddhartha attained awakening at the age of 35 and became the Buddha. Which means the awakened one. So what did he awaken to, is the question. Yeah? What was the content of his awakening? What then was the meditation that Siddhartha took up under the Bodhi tree that led him to enlightenment? It is said it was understanding of the self. You know? This view, as pointed out by Reverend Nobuo Haneda in his book Dharma Breeze, Siddhartha was desperately asking one question: what am I? He wanted to understand the basic nature of self, because he thought that his ignorance, his lack of understanding of the self, was the basic cause of suffering, and that by clearly understanding the self, he could eliminate suffering. So in examining the basic nature of the self, Siddhartha investigated whether there was something permanent in the self. He examined his skin, muscles, bones, and blood. He also examined his mind, things such as sensation, conception, volition, you know, the power of using one's will, and consciousness. And then he realized that everything in his body and mind was constantly moving, changing, and flowing, and that there was nothing permanent. He recognized that impermanence was the only Dharma, the only absolute reality or truth within his existence. So he identified ignorance of the self or misunderstanding of the self as a cause of his suffering. He was awakened to the truth that the self and its importance, the ego self, was not permanent. Before this, in seeing it as permanent, which means he saw it as the way he wanted to see it, not the way it is, he tried to keep it that way, and he was being attached to it. He desired to maintain it against the truth. So friction between his self-attachment and the truth arose. This friction was the suffering he was experiencing. So when he became aware of the truth of impermanence, meaning that everything is changing, he loosened his grip on the self. Okay? And the friction between the self and the truth disappeared, and he experienced liberation from suffering. This insight into the truth of impermanence was the content of Shakyamuni's enlightenment. So prior to his understanding, he saw it as a negative force because he saw it from the form of old age, sickness, and death, right? And this negative force destroyed all his ideas, thoughts, and opinions, and it did not allow him to be attached to anything. So this process, this negation of self or spiritual death that Shakyamuni experienced, and this is said by Nobuo Haneda, he puts it this way, was seen as a very humbling experience. It is said that he became a humble person. And so with this total negation of the self, the Dharma turned into a positive force, a dynamic and creative force. He began to see that all things were constantly new, fresh, and lively. He realized that they were the creative elements of the creative world, and that he himself was one creative part of the creative world. So having become one with the Dharma, the dynamic and creative force, Shakyamuni started to live as a constant seeker and learner, an appreciator of an ever fresh, ordinary life. We can say that he became a dynamic, creative person. It is said that Shakyamuni's humble and dynamic spirit and the teachings underlining it moved people in the spread of Buddhism during the early stages of its development. So to then summarize Shakyamuni's experience of enlightenment speaks to his going through a dynamic process of realization in negating the self and being revived by the self. The humility and dynamic spirit realized in him by the Dharma engaged him into dynamic seeking activities. Okay, so to describe Shakyamuni's experience of understanding of the self is quite fascinating indeed, as we look into his own unique life experiences that led him into his enlightenment. Shinran's experience in his attempt to become a Buddha was faced with difficulty, and as he found himself frustrated and depressed and doubted the validity of the practices he was performing. In quote, Shinran says that among the most difficult is genuine understanding. So Shakyamuni's encountering impermanence was difficult, and he resisted it at first because of his attachment to his ego self. And in Shinran's life, his ego self experienced the same kind of friction with impermanence that caused his suffering. After 20 years of trying, he failed to attain enlightenment on Mount Hiei, And fortunately, he found Honen Shonin, who shared the teachings of Namo Amida Butsu. The Namo in Namo Amida Butsu refers to Shakyamuni's key insight into the nature of the self. Namo is the self that sees the true self. It is the humble self that is awakened to its own arrogance and ignorance. Here, the infinite light and life, symbolized as Amida Buddha, which was not visible before, suddenly comes into view. Shakyamuni, in his awakening, was clearly aware of his human limitations and also aware of the unlimited life beyond the self. Like Shakyamuni and Shinran, they were awakened to their own ignorance of the self. So for Shinran, when he recognized the reliance upon his own efforts was his greatest hindrance to awakening. Yeah, he was able then to clearly listen to the calling voice, the infinite light and life symbolized as Amida Buddha. So, this description of Shakyamuni's understanding of self seems quite understandable, or maybe in simple terms, kind of makes sense, huh? But this rather lengthy explanation of his experience I presented does not necessarily make it really understandable, don't you think? But as Shinran points out in the quote mentioned earlier, among the difficult, the most difficult is genuine understanding. But how does this understanding play out in our own everyday lives? Yeah. So I was pondering that question as I experience everyday challenges in my own ordinary life, and how does it apply? And so I'll share my brief experience that happened to me not very long ago. And my wife Irene, and she's sitting in the audience, so I better watch what I say. She had taken a fall after rushing around trying to get her flowers prepared for her Ikebana class at Creekside where we live. And because she was cleared of any fractures, fortunately, but she experienced a lot of pain in her back. And so for several weeks, I inherited the role as caregiver. Yeah. And now when you're in this caregiving mode, you experience some challenges. And as Irene was limited in her movements about in our apartment, I was in charge of attending to all her everyday tasks, like getting her medication, her food, the cleanup, and all the nitty-gritty stuff that gotta get done. Yeah, and for me, not being in this role often can be quite challenging. So there was a situation when I was passing over some saimin to her, and then me being in a rather tense mood already, spilled the noodles and the soup all over the rug and the kitchen floor, and that was it, man. I was pissed. Go, man. Sorry, but you know, everybody loves saimin, right? And you see it on the floor over there, right? And you gotta clean it up also, you know. That was really, and then. I was kind of at my wit's end, and Irene, she was about to say something. I said, "Stop! Don't say anything." She knew I was mad. She knew I was. I felt the heat in my head and really, you know, you can feel flushed over here. But all of a sudden, Namo Amida Butsu came out of me. Yeah. It just came out of me, and. Then after that, I felt a calmness. It was warm, and it was. I felt you know, a change. I felt a calmness that was catching me, and this Bombo self of mine was saying, it's okay. It was a nice feeling, like a compassionate warmth that came over me. And all I can say was felt darn good, yeah? And probably that's the best way to describe it. But the best part of this experience, if you will, was that I could now carry myself freely with a different, fresh, new attitude. Okay, so as I pondered on the question of understanding of self, as has been discussed so far in Shakyamuni's experience of awakening, I asked myself if this experience of mine was close to what was described as being awakened to Shakyamuni and Shinran's own ignorance of the self. And going further, was this part of the same kind of friction that arose for Shakyamuni and Shinran, in that it was the ego self and its attachment to the way they held it against the truth, the cause of their suffering. So as Shinran points out, genuine understanding is among the most difficult. But trying to relate the teachings to our ordinary life, like with my experience, appears to me to be a path toward a true understanding. So in Shakyamuni's experience of understanding the self, and then his seeing the Dharma as a positive, creative, and dynamic force from a previously negative force, is this something we can relate to in our own lives, we might ask? Yeah? Or can we learn something from Shakyamuni's humble and dynamic spirit? Namo in Nembutsu is the humble self that is awakened to its own arrogance and ignorance. Here, the infinite life or wisdom and life symbolized by the Buddha works through us as we recognize our human limitations and become aware of unlimited life beyond the self with a new, fresh, and lively spirit. So this Bodhi Day celebration of honoring Shakyamuni's awakening is indeed significant, as it teaches us through quote-unquote understanding, we receive a foundation in finding joy and meaning in life. Shakyamuni's awakening brought him to become the constant seeker, the learner and appreciator of the ever-fresh ordinary life. And how might everyday difficult situations that challenge us become opportunities for viewing them into positive, fresh, new directions? How may this awareness bring new appreciation and gratitude in our experiencing everyday, ordinary life? So I conclude by saying, may Shakyamuni's awakening be an inspiration to us on our path of learning and growth in our ordinary, everyday life, and may, quote-unquote, understanding of the self find solace in us, in our everyday relationships that we cherish, and may it bring us fulfillment and peace. So happy Bodhi Day. Namo Amitabha. Namandas. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend David. Everyone please rise for the Gatha at our altar. And this is found in the Brown Praises of the Buddha book on page 16. And please continue to stand for the Nembutsu on page 135 in the red Jodo Shinshu service book.
as the sun shines upon the earth, awakening into growth the seeds that lie dormant in the soil. May the light of wisdom shine into our minds and truly awaken us to our ignorance, and by this insight stir us to strive for a life of deeper understanding and enlightenment. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Please be seated, everyone. This concludes this morning's Bodhi Day service, and it'll be time for some announcements from our President Dennis.
Good morning, everyone. I was cold at home this morning, and Kailua must be colder than Kailua. It was pretty comfortable here.
No, it's cold.
But thank you, Reverend David. That was a good refresher on the meaning of Bodhi Day. Sometimes just sleeping at home feels like hardship. No. Boy, I have it good, yeah? Thank you, Reverend Barbara, also for officiating the service. Gerald for being our MC. Prudence for being our greeter. Lisa, thank you for playing the piano. And of course, Ryan for doing our video. We have a few guests. We have friends of Reverend David. Sylvia Pearson. Welcome. You can come more often. Sylvia lives in Kailua, so good. And also from Kailua, Neil and Debbie Oyama, good friends of David. Neil used to come for Tai Chi years ago. It's been years. You better come back. I want to say it helps my golf game, but no, it really doesn't. And special visitors from the mainland. Wes and Jan Mukoyama. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's an interesting story. I hope I get it right. Was it last summer? On a trip to Europe, I guess in France. Gerald and Laurie, they were, I guess, on the same tour, riverboat, and they got to talking and, somehow really got deep in their talk, and they talked about Kailua and the temple, and that they're also good friends of TAC, I guess from college days. Yeah, it's a pure coincidence that you guys met. But welcome. I know you don't come often, but appreciate you stopping by here. Thank you. Okay, some announcements. If anybody is still interested in the Moilili T-shirts, sorry I don't have my sample with me, but I have you can come and see me. Last week we had made the collections for the Laulima Adopt a Family program that we had adopted a couple with 5 children, and appreciate very much your generous donations. I don't know what the final totals was. I believe it was something over $2,000 worth of gift cards and merchandise. So thank you very much. Last week I also mentioned about Kadomatsu sale. I have a sign-up sheet in the back, but if anybody interested in putting up the Kadomatsu to celebrate the New Year's, there's some information on the back. Okay. Again, also I announced the Hongwanji Mission Triple Celebration, which will be held in September 7 and 8, 2024. I do have a bunch of information posted on the bulletin board, so you can read some details. In conjunction with the Triple Celebration, Hongwanji Mission of Hawaii is also providing an online Buddhist education series 2024. There will be 10 sessions from January through August. More information, I'll put this on the bulletin board. So there's different speakers over the period, again, January to August, and all the information is here. You can read through it. There's ways you can, information about registering for those classes. Next Sunday will be our remembrance service. If you would like to remember a loved one who passed away in the month of December of any year, you may do so during the remembrance service. Please add your name as you come next Sunday. We'll have a list. And if you have a picture of your loved one, please bring that. We can place it up here as well. Oh, you can also remember pets. Okay, loved ones, human and pets. Okay. I'd like to announce that we have a new member, Ed Deal, has become a member. Welcome as a member. Any other announcements? Okay, we're about to have refreshments, but there's one special. Okay. Huh? No, you're good at it. Prudence will explain the special item. Oh, and also, okay. Well, since you're coming up, she'll explain about the special dish and also information about next week. Oh, okay. Special activity.
Good morning. The picture that we have up there is our very emaciated Buddha, that's Shakyamuni. And I guess that's how he looked as he was going to the extreme. And the story I remember is that he was close to death, I guess, and because he wasn't eating. And there was a maiden that came by, her name was Sujata, young maiden, and saw him and offered him some rice porridge to sustain him. And I guess that gave him enough energy to move on, and then he became enlightened. So we put up that very thin picture of the Shakyamuni. And on Bodhi Day, we usually have rice porridge. So it's part of your meal today. So help yourself to rice porridge. And then it said for one recipe was to serve 8 people, so I tripled it. And I don't know what happened, but it is a lot. So anyway, so that's for today. And December, it's such a busy month that we didn't have first Sunday activity. So, and of course I didn't announce it last week, but I thought we could decorate trees. That's why we had to do it today. And this, you see, it's, ta-da!
Oh, wow.
But yours won't be brown. Yours will be white. Anyway, isn't it neat?
Yeah.
It's a paper bag. So after refreshments, I'll set up the table back there, so please come join me. Thank you.
She's so creative. Okay, then it's time to eat. Please turn to page 126 of your red service book for words of thanksgiving. We are truly grateful for this wonderful food. a gift of life. May we share its benefits with all beings. As we partake of this food, let us remember Amida Buddha's compassion, which surrounds all people and all forms of life. Namo Amida Butsu. Itadakimasu. Thank you.